Welcome to USF1 Profiles. From Canadian snowmobile racer to F1 legend, it's Gilles Villeneuve.
Remember that time Ferrari hired a lunatic? No? Well, don't worry. I'll tell you all about the dude who was a Canadian snowmobile racer that showed up to Formula One and immediately started driving like somebody kidnapped common sense. And the craziest part? Scuderia looked at this absolute maniac and said, "Perfect. Put him in the red car." Today we are talking about the legend, the chaos, and the crashes. This is why Gilles Villeneuve, despite never winning a world championship, became one of the most beloved drivers in Formula One history. A Canadian legend, and Montreal circuit's namesake. Gilles Villeneuve was born in Quebec, Canada in 1950. And from the beginning, this man sounded like a life insurance company's worst nightmare. Before Formula One, he raced snowmobiles. And snowmobile racing in Quebec back then was not a sport. It was controlled violence. We're talking frozen tracks, trees, jumps, terrible visibility, and machines actively trying to throw you into another postal code. That kind of explains a lot, because when Gilles got to Formula One, everyone else drove like trained professionals. He drove like he was still trying to avoid pine trees at 100 miles per hour. By the mid-70s, he started climbing through junior racing categories and won the 1976 Formula Atlantic Championship. Then he did something even crazier. He caught the attention of James Hunt, one of the most charismatic and fearless Formula One drivers of the 70s, James Hunt. So, this is going to end well. In 1977, that was a good year, Villeneuve got a one-off Formula One opportunity with McLaren at the British Grand Prix. And immediately, people noticed two things. This guy is unbelievably fast. And this guy is completely out of his mind. He attacked corners like James Hunt was watching. Now, normally, teams see a reckless driver and think, absolutely not. But Enzo Ferrari saw something else. He saw passion. He saw aggression, fearlessness, basically the exact emotional profile Ferrari has been addicted to for 70 years. So Ferrari hired him in 1978. This was important because he replaced none other than Niki freaking Lauda. So no pressure there, right? Wrong. He's replacing Formula One's legend at the most famous team in motorsports history. But here's the problem. The late 70s Ferraris were not exactly easy cars to drive. In fact, several of them behaved like farm equipment with anger issues. But Villeneuve loved them because the more unstable the car got, the more alive it looked. This man was famous for ridiculous overtakes, impossible car control, driving sideways constantly, and refusing to quit, even when the car was falling apart. And nowhere was this more obvious than in the 1979 French Grand Prix battle against René Arnoux. This is still considered one of the greatest fights in Formula One history. These two kids were everywhere, banging wheels, sliding through corners, overtaking each other repeatedly, basically conducting aerial combat on asphalt. Modern FIA officials would see this race and immediately burst into flames. Hey, anybody have a copy of that we could drop off at the steward's office? At the end of the race, Gilles simply went, "Well, that was fun." He became a superstar because he raced like fans imagine race car drivers should race. Not careful, not calculated, but violent and beautiful. One of the reasons fans worship him is because the man simply refused to surrender. Do you want an example? Fine. Here's one. The 1979 Dutch Grand Prix. He gets a puncture. Most drivers pit immediately. Not this guy. This guy continues driving his Ferrari that's literally fucking off from underneath him. At one point, the tire explodes. Bodywork is flying off. Sparks everywhere. Suspension dying in real time. But he kept going. Commentators genuinely sounded concerned for his mental health. And then there was the rain. Oh dear God, the rain. When conditions got dangerous, he somehow went even faster. While everybody else was just trying to survive, this guy was apparently communicating directly with the chaos gods themselves. But that's why drivers respected him so much. He was fearless. Now we get to one of Formula One's most painful stories. In 1982 San Marino Grand Prix, the Ferrari drivers were comfortably leading the race. Ferrari gave what Villeneuve believed was orders to hold position. Basically, the race was over, bring the cars home. Villeneuve slowed down, but his teammate didn't, and passed Gilles for the win. He felt betrayed, deeply betrayed. According to people close to him at the time, he was furious. Not just angry, but hurt, personally wounded. And that completely fractured Ferrari. What happened next would become one of the darkest moments in F1 history. 2 weeks after Ferrari's betrayal was the Belgian GP. Villeneuve was obsessed with being the fastest Ferrari. Late in qualifying, Gilles collided with a slower driver at over 125 miles an hour. The Ferrari launched 330 feet into the air, flew into pieces, flipped violently down the track, and was utterly destroyed. Gilles was thrown over 165 feet away from the car into a safety fence. Unfortunately, after 9 o'clock the evening of May 8, 1982, he passed away at just 32 years old. Formula One changed forever because Gilles Villeneuve represented something raw fans connected with immediately. And when he died, it felt like Formula One lost a part of its soul. His career was not enormous. He only won 6 Grand Prix. He never won a championship. He never had long periods of dominance. But ask F1 fans who's one of the greatest racers ever, his name will always appear on that list. Why? Because Villeneuve represented something bigger than statistics. Even today, Ferrari fans worship him. Drivers still study him, and his legacy lives through his son, the 1997 Formula One world champion. And perhaps his greatest tribute of all, the circuit in Montreal was renamed Circuit Gilles Villeneuve because Canada didn't just produce an F1 driver, it produced a legend.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Join us next time on USF1, give us a like and subscribe. Copyright Brugman Media Limited. See you next time on USF1.